Alright, hi guys, I'm here to talk to you about the 2008 sports drama Forever Strong. Forever Strong is based off of a true story, and it's about a man named Rick Penning. Rick Penning was an Arizona high school rugby player, and Rick Penning was an absolute star on the field. He played for his dad, who was the head coach, but struggled with many problems off the field. Rick Penning's dad was really tough on him, especially during their games and practices, and Rick really felt like his dad only cared about winning and not really about him. Rick dealt with these problems by drinking and partying and not really taking rugby as serious as he probably should because he knew he was that good and he didn't really need to take it that seriously. So after a win one day, in the movie he decides to get drunk and drive around in the car with his girlfriend. This leads to, as you could probably guess, a drunk driving crash that leaves his girlfriend in critical condition. He is sentenced by a judge to go to Utah to a correctional facility. There in Utah, he is not very happy at all and ends up getting in many fights and is outside playing football when he tells the guys that they should play rugby, be more like men. He absolutely destroys a kid on the tackle, and this is when the warden takes notice. The warden sees it as the warden was an ex-rugby player. The warden brings in some players from the local rugby team, which is Highland Rugby, and Highland Rugby was actually Rick's team's in Arizona's biggest rival on the national scheme of things because they would always play in the national tournaments. So he finds out from the warden that if he agrees to do this, that he could probably lower his sentence and he can get out of there fast enough. So he figures, all right, I'll do it. So he goes and he decides to check it out at least and see what was best for him. He doesn't get along with any of the players as expected. He gets into fights. When he ends up playing the first game, he basically single-handedly costs them the game. But after a while, he starts to bond with the team and the coach. The coach actually gives him advice that he had never received before. He actually believes in him. He wants to make him a better person. He doesn't want him just for the for winning rugby games. He wants to really affect these young men's lives, and that's what he's been doing. And that's a big culture shock for him, for Rick, because it's not what it was like for him playing for his dad when all it was about winning rugby games. As the season progresses, they become like a family, and through rough patches, they actually come together and make a big run at the end. I'm not gonna go in and spoil what completely happens, but it's a movie full of pure rugby action, and a very heartwarming story of redemption for Rick Penning. He struggles all the way through it, but if anybody who likes movies about redemption and somebody persevering against all the odds, and this would definitely be a movie for them. I'm personally a part of the New Mexico rugby community. I played for the Albuquerque Junior Aardvarks in high school, and now I play for the New Mexico Lobos. And playing rugby has taught me many things, and I've met a lot of people throughout it doing so. I've went to Denver to play in all-star tournaments, and I've met many people there from all over the country. I've actually met people from all over the world who play this game. And there's something about this game that just bonds you as in the type of brotherhood. Your enemy's on the field, but your friend's off, and that's just how it is. And it gives you a sort of toughness, and I think this movie portrays that well, the toughness of the rugby players as he gets beat up in the games, but he continues to keep fighting when he's bruised and battered. People who play rugby all know that it takes more than just athleticism to go out there and play. You have to have heart, and you have to have brothers next to you who want to win with you. It's not all about one person. And that's what the movie really portrays, especially when he plays for the Highland team, where it's all about team and not about one player at all. This movie has a lot of great aspects to it, especially the action scenes of the rugby games themselves. It's pretty realistic, nothing too insane. As I saw, I think that the tackles might be actual penalties if you saw them in a game, but it's a movie. It's got to have a lot more action than and keep the viewer interested. The soundtrack to the movie is nice and inspirational, like you would expect in an inspirational rugby movie. The storyline itself Of course, it has like the little love interest, like any movie usually has. It keeps you interested though. It's not just about rugby. It's more about the person. Rugby is just what brings all the people into the movie together. That's their common connection. You can relate to it because everybody has struggled with something at some point and they deal with it in their own different ways. And sometimes it gets them into bad situations. And if you have like people in your life that you need to fix things with, there's ways to do it. And this kind of shows the way it happens that something can bring you together and it can do that for you. Um, I personally would give the movie like a 4 out of 5 stars. That might be biased because I'm a rugby player and I just enjoy rugby movies, but I think anybody who enjoys sports movies or just wants to watch something about somebody making their way from the bottom all the way up, especially when everything seems against them, especially like anybody who's had a family member go to jail or somebody get injured or something like that, because there's all aspects of that in this movie. I personally think that this movie should have been more of a success in the box office, but since it's on Netflix now, more people can get out and look into it, and really enjoy it. It can teach you a lot about rugby itself, and that's about it. I think that if you give this movie time, you'll enjoy it. Everybody I've ever talked to has enjoyed it, and I think that this movie is something that the whole family could enjoy, or just you by yourself could enjoy, because it's really that good. A little bit corny in a sense, just because it's a dramatic sports movie, but and it has just basically every element of a dramatic sports movie as you would expect. But like it wouldn't be a sports movie if it didn't have that. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoy the movie as much as I did.